So here it is, folks. This is the Pivot Shuttle AM, and it is Pivot's entry into the arena of who is the best riding, best performing e-mountain bike in the world.
On top of the morning, on top of the wave, on top of the team, on top of the days, on top of my purpose. I create. Y'all wanna copy, but we're not the same. Sometimes when it can be dark, sometimes when it can be scary, sometimes you still gotta push on and just do what is necessary. You need that mindset, dog. You're just like a mercenary. You just gotta go push on.
Pivot's entry right here, the Shuttle AM. It's near and dear to my heart because the very first e-bike that I owned is the Pivot Shuttle. Back maybe 5-6 years ago, I tested it and I fell in love with it. It rode like a bike, and I bought it with my own money. I rode it for many years. And I feel like Pivot has lost the lead in that arena. You know, companies like Specialized, YT, and Orbea have really competed hard in this space. And now Pivot has come in with everything they have. So they already have two e-bikes, the Pivot Shuttle LT or long travel, and the SL or the Superlight. And this one slots right in the middle. 148 millimeters of rear travel, kind of like 150, 160 here. Full 29er with mullet compatible, and they really put out all the stops. They've been a Shimano shop forever, and they said, okay, for us to be the best, we have to get the Bosch CX motor, and they have the Gen 4 edition, and they also have a race edition. And they also worked with SRAM. Never see a SRAM on a Pivot bike because they're so close to Shimano, but they said, hey, we need the best for this. And they have the Eagle, the T-type transmission on this. So in this video, I'm gonna go through all the details, what the bike is, how it rides, how the motor is. I'm gonna give you a speed test of this thing up the hill, a noise test, how quiet it is, and most important, I'm also gonna give you the riding impressions. How does it ride? Most important thing. And before I close, I'm gonna give you all the strengths, the weaknesses of this bike. Full 29er, about 150, 160, as I said, right? Seat angle is about a 76.5, and the head angle is 64.1 on the low setting. You can put it on a high setting, kind of steepen it up a little bit, but the low is plenty good for, I think, most people, the majority of folks. 29er, mullet compatible, and usually I'm not too excited, but it has short stays, 444 chain stays, and that's very short for a 29er. And the Levo, the Gen 3 Levo has a mullet, but it has 442 chain stays, so 2 millimeters off. So maybe not so bad. I've yet to try it. I have so many wheel sets that are 27, but this thing requires super boost on the rear. Kind of a downer, so I haven't tried it, but I have so many impressions with it as a full 29er. The motor, as I said, is the latest from Bosch, Generation 4. They have a race option, but that might be sold out. This is the race model, 14,000 for this, 11,800 for the meat and potatoes one, the one I think which most people with the means will get, that will be sold out. And also they have a $9,000 version, doesn't have T-type transmission, but it will have Shimano SLX, maybe an XT mix here and there. Bosch is a significant change for Pivot because they've worked so much with Shimano. So Gen 4 is just unbelievable. They put a 750 watt-hour battery, and they have wireless now, you know, so that hornet's nest around here is gone. They have wireless switching. Low seat tube right here, and this I think is a 170 for me. I might have room. And full 29er. I haven't been riding a lot of full 29er e-bikes, but this one is such a revelation. As I said, T-type transmission, Shimano brakes on the XTR dual piston on 200 millimeter rotors and Maxxis tires. All right. So number 3 part of this review is the ride quality. How does it ride? So first of all, I'll tell you the weight. The weight on this is exactly 50.1 with these pedals, fairly big race face pedals. So it's about 49 and change, 49 and a quarter without pedals, box stock, you know, with a cage. So I rode this in Colorado for 2-3 days, and I was like, wow, this thing is really good. But I can't really judge it so well in comparison to others because I'm at like 10,000 feet elevation. So it felt powerful, but it had no problem climbing, didn't run out of battery. And on descending, it had all these loose boulders moving around, and I rode good. I even had kidney stones that weekend, and I still rode good. High testimonial for this bike, but I've had this in my local trails here in Santa Cruz for 6 weeks now, and I've been riding it so much, 2-3 times a week. And let me tell you, it's better than what I thought it was in Crested Butte, Colorado. It is amazing. Now I see, with the roughness of our trails, which is not as rough as there, this thing is a slayer. I mean, it changes direction, it jumps. It feels like a 42-pound bike. On the scale, it says 51, but it feels like 42. And every time I lift it to the car and dumb it to the ride, I'm like, dang, it's a real e-bike, but it feels so light on the trail. So the descending is so good. Where I find a little weakness is we have a lot of these berms now. We've been building a lot of berms, and this thing you can't get quite as slow and just whip it on a turn or a berm. So I really, but I think a lot of that is mullet, because when you have a mullet, allows you to be lower. So I'm gonna try that for sure. But everything else, it's like mind blowing. I've had 5 people try this bike, and they're like, whoa. I feel like I know the bike already, and I just got on it, and that's descending. And this is not the best shock in the world, Float X. I've never ridden a Float X bike that I fell in love with. I'm always X2 or the Push 11.6. And this bike is so good that it really makes this shock shine. It just doesn't have a lot of adjustability. But with the kinematics of this bike, the bike feels really supple, almost unpivot-like. It is smooth like butter. This motor is so impressive. Gen 4, and I'm not talking about the race. The race, I'll show you, is a little faster, and I'll show you some results. But the climbing on this thing, it's a quiet motor. The torque sensor is so sensitive. The minute you get on, it'll get on with assist. And the assist doesn't have to be like super boost. It'll just be like as much as you need, depending on how you configured it. But the earlier it comes on, the more natural it feels. And that is the advantage of the latest Bosch torque sensor. It's quiet as well. It's effortless. The torque is 85 Newton meters, but it is available from the get-go, from in a very wide power band. So super powerful. So let me take a break and give you my uphill climbing test and show you exactly how fast it is. Here's our standardized test with power meter pedals, leaving the rider power to 200 watts average. Right now we have it on full turbo mode. Hit the start button at the exact spot, and we'll just fast motion this. The results are in race mode, that red mode, time was 4:34. So definitely a record 12.7 mile an hour average. But in the non-race mode, just the turbo mode, so this is what all other Gen 4s will have, it is 4:43, so 9 seconds slower. A little slower, but not bad, because this is still the fastest of the bunch. The brand new 2023 Levo is 4:48, and the Shimano motor is 5:25. So there it is. Okay, that's the uphill climbing test. Really, first place in all my testing. And the turbo mode of this is a little slower, a few seconds slower than the race mode. The race mode is where it has a lot of overrun, it comes on quicker. But my test course is just a consistent climb. Just so there's no variables and braking and whatnot. It's just a consistent climb. The turbo or the race motor, which you pay, I think, $1,000 extra for, doesn't show a big advantage there, because those are capped in the wattage and the Newton meters anyway. So you're not getting extra power with this motor. Most of the race mode advantage is in the firmware, how fast it comes on. So in my particular case, it hardly makes a difference. But this does beat the Gen 3 Levo, a brand new Gen 3 Levo that I just got. This is a little faster. They're fairly close. And the next thing I want to discuss to you is the noise of the motor. How quiet or how noisy is it on a climb? So here is the noise level. You will hear the tires give you some relative noise comparison, and you also hear the shifting. And I'll keep quiet so you can hear the motor. Full turbo mode. So there it is, relative to the wind noise and the tire noise. Pretty darn quiet even at full boogie mode. So there you go, pretty quiet, huh? For as much power as it delivers, man, this thing is just humming along, hardly stressed. So really cool. I would say it's more quiet than the Bros motor of Specialized and the Shimano. All right, now let's talk about the range in the battery. The battery is 750 watt hours on the lowest cost model, the Ride. It's 625 watt hours. And the more important part is this motor is very efficient with the battery. It's crazy. It's crazy. So my best example is I went to the Santa Cruz Forest. I did a ride. I didn't have a lot of time, but the dirt was amazing. So I said I'll do what I can. And I did 6,400 feet of climbing and descending, and I did it under 3 hours. So I was on the eco mode of this bike, which is kind of like eco trail. So I was going fast, but it got 6,400 feet of climbing. So just staggering. And every time I go out with my friends, this thing is so supportive that it does feel like I have an 800 battery. So on the Ride, on the low-cost model, 625 watt hour is a little bit of a downer, but you do have some consolation that it is an efficient motor. And also they have these modes like Tour Plus and E-MTB mode. But 625 is a downer if you buy this bike this year or next year. But you have a consolation that this and the cheaper bikes are compatible with their new extender battery that has 250 watt hours. 250 watt hours is legit. Not available yet, but I've seen it, I've touched it. It is definitely gonna happen. And you know Bosch, they're gonna do a good job with the testing and the execution of this extender battery. Okay, configurability. There is a flip chip here somewhere. I think it's right here. You change your angles by half a degree. You drop your BB, I think by 10 millimeters. And that's really for East Coast. Right now it's on the low setting. You want to go high if you have super rocky, you get a lot of pedal strikes, but really for mullet. You know, when mullet, it lowers it, so you want to raise it back up. Controls and ergonomics. I've been knocking Bosch, and everyone has for a long time, but now they have a wireless switch right here. Super cool. They have your battery display right here, and yeah, you have your Shimano T-type transmission pod right here. Good, but not awesome. Why? This switch is so terrible. I've never had a switch where there were so many false positive or double clicks, because there's not a lot of motion and click in it. Like, you don't know if you pressed it, and when you press it hard, it presses twice. So version 1 product, unfortunately, but it is clean. The pod is their third shifter on SRAM Access, and it's still pretty bad. It's just not gonna last. Luckily, it's kind of adjustable and it's big, so you can find it. But man, you're gonna hit this, and it's just never in the right spot, because the angle of it you can't change. You can only change this particular angle. Yeah, and then this battery right here, the indicator, it's a 5 light system, but 2 lights each, so 10 bars, 10% increments. Man, in this day and age, for this price, you want 1 to 100%. Okay, number 8 of this review is the weaknesses. What is wrong with the bike? And let me just tell you that these are just nitpicking, because as a package, it is incredible. So nitpicking, number one is it's not a mullet, meaning it should be shipped, in my opinion, as a mullet from the factory. Mullet is just so good for e-bikes for many reasons, you know, because the motor takes the room of the chainstay. Usually it allows you to be lower without butt buzz. I'm getting a lot of butt buzz here because you do big jumps here, boom, and you wanna, I'm gonna put a dropper like right here. I'm gonna get even more butt buzz, the tire buzzing me, technical term, right? So I know you could make it a mullet, but it's not easy. You know, you have to have another wheel. I would say the majority is not gonna make it mullet. You're not gonna go through the trouble. So that, I feel bad about that. The fact that it's super boost is a pain in the butt for me and most people. You don't have super boost wheel laying around. I have 3 non-super boost 27.5s ready to slot in here. The motor rattle, not great. 625 watt hours on the $9,000 bike. That is unfortunate. You know, so many other bikes now at $5,000 they have 700 watt hour batteries. This should not have 625. And finally, just a couple, like I said, nitpicks. We should have a better rear shock for $14,000. One with a lot more heat dissipation and more important, adjustability of compression and rebound. And the Bosch classic pain in the neck is this battery motor charging port cover. It's like one of the worst pieces of rubber ever. It works like 10% of the time. Another downside is the price points. The price points are very high. 14 grand, 11.8, and 9 grand. Anything under 9? No. And you know what's gonna happen because there's nothing under 9. The 9 grand is gonna be sold out. So this bike just needs more price points. What is the bottom line? The bottom line is this is one of the best. It might be the best. If you can afford it, this is the one. I have a lot of rich friends here in the Bay Area. They ask me, what's the best? What should I buy? I go, this one. You know, go on the waiting list, go buy it. And you can ride mine. And so it is incredible. It is now in the top 2 of all e-bikes that I've ridden. I've ridden about 30. Is that good? And I haven't even tried the mullet version yet. What's the other one? The other one's a Levo. So my next video is I'm gonna compare this against the Gen 3 Levo, a brand new one, head to head, using 10 different shootouts or factors. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. This truly is an exciting day for me. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to buy this, how to take this off their hands, because it's not cheap. Even as an industry reviewer, I can't afford it. Thank you very much, my friends.